welcome back to the classroom, everyone. Today we are going to be continuing on our series in the badly geared batch, where we take gear 11 bad batch characters with all their zetas and sometimes a really good fifth, and really see what exactly their limit is against certain teams and certain counters, because we know they're really viable at relics, but here comes the question of whether or not they're good against these teams still at gear 11. So today we're going to be looking at taking down Mon Mothma. This is actually a request from someone that left in my comments. If anyone else would like to see a specific video or a specific counter, I can do that. Just let me know kind of exactly what you're looking for. So without further ado, let's get into the footage here. The Mon Mothma team that I'm going to be testing against, this one right here, I'm going to show you guys the mods briefly. There's really not a lot to comment on mod-wise. The only thing I do need to make a comment on is the Kara is not very fast, or the Kara. She's under 300 speed, and basically what that means is my Echo is going to go first. I believe that is pretty critical for you to win. I don't think it's 100% necessary. I don't think the team is just entirely done for. And I'll kind of get to why that is later, because the fifth we're going to be using. What you guys can see, this is a fully relicked Mon Mothma team. So we're going to go in here, and you're going to see the fifth we're using is Shaak Ti. Shaak Ti is absolutely essential to get this to work at any means. It's because of her turn meter that she gets for whenever a clone or herself gets hit. And you're going to notice in this video, I'm going to take my sweet time choosing which ability that I want to use. You'll notice that I didn't do the turn meter swap with that one, because I wanted to be able to use the turn meter swap onto tech so that we could go for the AoE stun. And one of the things, and this is really important, that we're going to see in this next part here, after we call tech into assist so that we can go ahead and use his AoE stun, it doesn't really stick to everyone. You guys are going to see that right now. And this is important because I think this is just a fat reality of this counter, at least at this gear level. Mon Mothma, whether she's intentionally modded that way or not, she is going to have tenacity just because of how her leadership ability works, where it takes in the team's tenacity and kind of redistributes it out by about 8%, if I'm not mistaken. So they're always going to have a little bit of tenacity, and you just can't get that much potency onto the bad batch, at least at this gear level. You need them really higher. You need 60 mods. It's hard to get around to that. That being said, the Mon Mothma team focuses so much on these little itty-bitty hits onto record that it just fuels Shaak with so much turn meter. And they don't really have any days either. So there's nothing to stop Shaak Ti from going. And that really, you guys can see in the video here, that really bails the bad batch out consistently. You guys can see it right now. She's going to be able to pass another turn over. And once you get enough turns, eventually you start getting 3 stacks of translation on Hunter, Echo, and Tech. And once that starts happening, you can start really looping around the specials to either AoE stun or AoE daze, both of which kind of wreck this team. Also, the team doesn't really have any way to defend against the exposed and the tenacity, which is really a hit and miss, which we mentioned beforehand. So you guys can see here in the video, it's going pretty well. There were a lot of moments where I was really scared and I really had to focus on what I was going to do. But at the end of the day, just because of Shaak Ti being in there, it really sealed the deal. I'm loading back into the same battle. I wanted to get some more testing just to see if that was like magically good RNG. So this is the same exact team, same exact mods, same exact strategy. Just seeing if RNG goes a little bit differently. And here it does go a little bit differently. You guys will see that on Kara's first AoE that she uses, our Shaak Ti actually doesn't go immediately. The other turn gets a team because Kara was able to actually remove some of the turn meter that Shaak was getting. And that really doesn't stop you. The AoE daze in the very beginning, making sure that no one moves, means that pretty much until Mon Mothma actually goes, they're not fully getting out of that daze, which is really great for your team. But this team just seems so unpredictable, the Mon Mothma team, because one resist here or one resist there is enough to really throw the thing sideways. And like I said, Shaak Ti really helped compensate for that. With her constantly getting turns and passing other turns to the rest of the team, she bails you out. But at the same time, if you get too much bad RNG in a row, you're just done. And there's really not a way around that. Like I said, I have these guys modded about realistically as fast and as high as for potency as I could. I don't really think you could really make this more you could make this more consistent, at least at this gear level. I believe at a higher gear level, this is a really, really hard counter against them, despite the comp. And by the way, the comp, this is, I think, going to be one of the hardest comps for the Bad Batch to beat. I considered using K2 and Cassian, but K2 and Cassian really make this counter more consistent because they start with buffs, and because they start with buffs, your whole team gets to go first because of how Echo's kit works. When he rips off the buffs, he's able to give turn meter to the rest of the team. So K2 and Cassian, I don't really think they make this harder. In fact, I think they make it easier. Kara being really fast could cause some issues. Again, Shaak Ti is also going to get a whole lot of turn meter when that happens, so I don't think she's going to be the end of the world. Biston could be a problematic, but at the same time, we have so much buff removal, and we have so many stuns and dazes. I don't really know if that would make a huge difference. There's not really a fifth that I think would just completely and, like, unforgivably annihilate you. I think this is it's a pretty soft counter all the way around. That being said, I really don't think any of these are guaranteed wins, and I don't like that. Sure, if a counter has a 70% chance success rate, that's 70%, but this one really seems where that 70% is just unreliable. Like, there's not like a specific win or a specific lose condition where this specific thing you have to mod against or this specific turn order you have to have. It just seems really, really random. Just with the amount of counters, with the amount of turn meter gain they have, whether the stun lands or it doesn't, whether the expose lands or it doesn't, whether you get that turn at the right time, depending on how the enemy is also modded. It just seems really, really random. So we'll get to the overview here in a second. But basically, I think this is a pretty, like, this is gonna sound weird, but like a hard soft counter. Like, it's definitely a soft counter. It's definitely not a hard counter, and it's definitely not very nuanced. There is logic to why this should work every time. That being said, I do believe you need Shaak pretty hardcore. I don't really think she's debatable. One thing that is interesting about this battle, spoiler alert, we're gonna win. But we were able to win without Echo, which for a lot of other matches, that is a win condition. You do not win this if your Echo goes down. But I guess the rest of the team, primarily Shaak, has enough synergy to be able to just take them down regardless of how many turns they're able to get or if Echo's dead at the same time. So we're going to end this here, and now let's go ahead and look at our overview for the team as a whole, just to see how they do. So here's our overview at the end. What do the mods matter on this team? I would say they matter a lot. I would say they're crucial. Like I said, you have a lot of RNG with who gets a turn, and you can minimize a lot of the RNG by having faster mods and more potency to combat the enemy's tenacity as well. So I would say they're crucial. I think the worse mods you have, or the lower potency, the lower speed, you just open more room for that RNG to come in and screw you. Fifth, I think it's hardcore necessary. I do not think this works without Shaak. They get too many turns. They have too much TM, bonus and TM removal. You need someone to get in there and interrupt that, and Shaak is the perfect one to do that. I already touched on this briefly, but where do I think this counter sits as a general whole? And I would say that it's a pretty definite soft counter. I think against a really, really bad comp, like let's say Lando, Biggs, Wedge, and like Rolo. I see those occasionally in GAC sometimes. Those are terrible comps. I would say this is a hard counter against them. Against the comp that we saw today was kind of a soft counter. And if they had like a really fast Kara and a really fast Scout and a really fast Biston or something like that, you could probably say this is a nuanced counter. So I think depending on the comp, it kind of wiggles through all three of them. But I would land comfortably on soft. Is it worth it? I would say no. Like I said, it's a soft counter, but there's just not a lot of ways to mitigate the RNG that can come to bite you in the butt. With some of the other counters with Geos, we looked at things like potency and even accuracy. They can help really minimize it. Having the right turn order, having enough speed on tech, those types of things can really help minimize RNG against other battles. This one just seems unpredictable, and I do not like to rely on things that are unpredictable. So if you need a Mon Mothma counter and you're considering Gear 11 Bad Batch, don't do it. Not worth it, in my opinion. That being said, once they get to Relics, I'm sure they blow all Mon Mothma teams away, because at that point, it's going to be really, really easy to get both Tech and Echo faster than most Karas out there. So that is going to be it for today, guys. If you want to find me before the next video, I do stream my GC battles every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that is going to be it for today. So, until the next time, stay awesome.